The bigger question is not, of course, the need for to address climate change or to make rapid progress in renewable energy, but it's really also going to be what kind of role India can play in that transformation. Where are we right now, and how can we really unleash the kind of potential we see in this space?
Thank you, Abha, and thank you, BT, for the opportunity. We live in very exciting times, and I think the opportunities that India has is phenomenal. Our Prime Minister, 2 years back in COP26, mentioned about that India will take a global position, and he talked about that India will have 500 gigawatt of clean energy capacity, which I think was a very, very bold statement, because we were at that time just about 150 gigawatt. And in 8 years, adding 350 gigawatt was quite a challenge. We are on that path today. And I think the government has been supporting this in terms of the policy interventions, in terms of the regulation. So I think the foundation has been very good in terms of what needs to be done. The second is whether the Indian industry and the Indian developers, they are in a position to do that. And I think there's huge amount of work that is being done. The Indian private sector and the public sector has risen to the occasion, and the capacity additions that are being targeted. And this is not only in terms of solar or wind, but in storage, in pumped hydro. And now we are also seeing huge amount of traction in the hydrogen production. So I think all in all, I would say the Indian industry is geared up to meet the challenge, and India will demonstrate to the world that how quickly it has transitioned from the conventional sources of energy to clean sources of energy. And I think both in terms of thought leadership and in terms of action, India will lead the way. The third area is, of course, financing, and how do we get global finance as well as the Indian finance. And again, we find that all the global players are in the country. Today, the best of the financing companies globally, sovereign funds, they are investing big time in India, because they feel that the growth story of India is real. And there is a real demand with a population of more than 1.4 billion people, and the per capita consumption still being very low. The aspirational India requires this type of growth, and I think we will have definitely a situation where we will have the best of the financing arrangements, and these can be the private banks, these can be sovereign funds, these can be multilaterals, and we have seen in very many of the discussions, whether it is in the B20 or G20 or amongst the BRIC countries, there is a discussion that how do we bring long-term financing into the country. And lastly, I think the benefit that today the people of this country are looking at in terms of how they can adopt and use clean energy, I think. So I think India will be one of the leaders in implementing the clean energy solutions globally. It will drive many of the initiatives that we have seen. And this is not only a decade of India, but also possibly many decades of India for growth.